Matotipila, in my experience, in the entire North American continent, at least in United States and Canada, I would say, is probably the one most powerful space that you can see in this part of the world. It has a dimension. See, in the yogic dimension, we look at it as human body, the energetic body of the human being is like the cosmos. It has 114, energy points. Of these, two are outside the physical structure, rest are inside. So these 112 are made into 7 categories, which are generally in America known as 7 chakras and things. Of these 7, there is one in the throat region which is called as Vishuddhi. I would say for 99% of the people, this Vishuddhi remains in the seed form, it never sprouts because it is a power center. If you know something about Indian culture, the first yogi in India was called Adi Yogi, which means the first yogi. Actually, we have erected a 112 feet tall face, which is the largest face on the planet actually. I don't know if you've seen that, you can see that image in the thing, it's a 112 feet tall bust. Because he is the first yogi, to honor him, because he gave us the technologies for well-being, how to handle human well-being from within. So in this, he is also called a person who is powerful in his throat. And his throat is blue, and there's a snake around his throat, all this imagery. Why this is so is, this dimension we called Vishuddhi is one dimension which in the throat center needs maximum amount of skill and capability to evolve. What I saw, I was there on the full moon night in Matotipila. It was explosive dimension of Vishuddhi or the throat center. Anybody who has done any kind of a little bit of search with that energy around would naturally become an exploration of mysticism is very natural. Because this culture, the Native American culture, has not written down anything, everything is oral culture. Now if one person has realized something, unless he finds another person in the next generation to pass it on, it kind of gets lost. Which is also a good thing in a certain way, because written down distortions will happen. But when the entire culture went through an upheaval for generations of people, probably 8 to… maybe 10 to 20 generations went through a whole upheaval, that culture could have been broken. But even now I'm saying, especially Tab, you are a singer, you must spend minimum 3 days at this Matotipila, especially on the full moon night. I'm telling you, you will realize something tremendously powerful. Anybody who realizes or opens up the throat center, their ability to connect with life, I'm saying when I say connect with life, you can touch beyond your physical reach, literally touch. So, this dimension of life is very, very rare. There are various centers in the world which activates different dimensions, but the throat center being this powerful is hardly 2-3 places in the entire globe, I'm telling you. I was just amazed. The way it is reverberating with this dimension of life is just absolutely amazing. I do not know how it has happened. Nature has done it. In India, we create our own structures. We create consecrated structures to reverberate this kind of energy, but what we make is of small proportions. But here it is standing in such a magnificent form, and this in many ways, I've spoken in detail about this, I don't want to go into the detail. This in many ways, whether tribes were from the plains or from the mountains, from the coast, wherever they were, this has influenced the entire culture in a huge way, because when I hear the Native American voices, what I see, I have no scripture in my head, I don't have any bookish knowledge or religious knowledge. All I have is, I can feel the place with my eyes closed. One thing that I see with the voices, the way they're going about is, they're expressing their voices along with the geometry of the land. When you produce a sound which is in sync with the form that you see, then we say this is a mantra, because now the combination of sound and form are working together and suddenly it becomes an explosive force. So, when I see the Native American music and the terrain that they were looking at and making these sounds, not always words, just sounds, because sound is important. Words are made up in our minds. Sound is real, sound is a reverb, and sound has a geometry of its own. If you utter the right kind of sounds, it will touch the forms, it will embrace the forms. In this there is tremendous power. This is where I see the entire Native American spiritual process is rooted. Whether people have physically been there or not, it doesn't matter. Because even without physically being there, you can connect with this. If you connect with the land, you can connect with this dimension. And if you connect the land and the sound, you will definitely connect with this Mato Tipila, because this is not a physical thing. There's an energetic dimension to that. See, we have a physical body, but without the life energy, what is this physical body? It's just rot, all right? So what is a stone? A stone is nothing unless it has an energetic body. Here there's an energetic body expressing this dimension of the throat center in the human system in an extremely powerful way, which is… I've never seen a place like that in my life. I've traveled literally everywhere, I'm telling you.
That's amazing.
So that's been one of the most profound things, and Cahokia also was a great thing for us to see, because we discovered certain things that what they have done there, and some things that have gone right, some things that went wrong there. That's a different aspect, but this Mato Tipila is a must for every indigenous person. It's a must, whether they go there physically or otherwise, they must connect with this. This is where the power is. The basis of your culture in some way energetically is here. And with connecting with that could also be the liberation for the future.
If your mind took instructions from you, would you create anxiety? No. So don't look for answers elsewhere, elsewhere, elsewhere. It is just that your own physiology and your psychological patterns not taking instructions from you. So you said so many things, I try, whatever these big words are floating all over California particularly, about surrendering to it, about letting it go, about… Not for one person has such a thing worked, ever. Has it, I'm asking you? You have anxiety, try to let it go. Does it go? Even a damn flu doesn't go. Yes or no? Even a simple cold does not go, you say go, does it go? So, let's not get into this fanciful states of surrendering. These are all words thrown around. Nobody knows what is surrender. Because when it happens, you will not know it has happened. You can't do it, I surrendered. How's that possible? So, leaving those things, essentially, as I said, you have not read the user's manual. How this works, we need to pay attention to this. The system is made in such a way, if you hold your hand like this, it'll work one way. If you do like this, it'll work another way. If you do like that, it'll work another way. It's a phenomenal process. If it was a simple thing, we could have just beaten it into shape with hammer and anvil, okay? It's too sophisticated. It's a phenomenally complex machine. One needs to pay a certain level of attention to be able to use it for what it is designed for. Otherwise, it'll get itself messed up. Now, there may be many factors, there may be genetic factors, there may be sociological factors, there may be growing up issues, various things. But do not ascribe your problems to any of those things. The important thing is just this: you are not able to have your mind the way you want it. That's the only problem you have, isn't it? The moment you ascribe it, I'm like this because my father was like that, I'm like this because my grandfather's genetics were not okay, you're finished. Because we can't change those guys now. Yes? You can't choose a different father or a different grandfather now, it's over. But you can transform this. You must understand, still it doesn't matter you have anxiety disorder. Still, if you put a piece of carrot, there is an intelligence here which can transform a carrot into a human being. That means every day a new body is being manufactured within you, isn't it? In parts, a new human being is manufactured every day. When the very source of creation is functioning within you and a new human being is constantly being created, if you take little charge of that, you can create an entire new physiological and psychological process. This happened to us some time ago. Last year, we were trekking in Tibet. I was in a tent. I was doing some work and another person was cutting an apple. You know, one of these porcelain knives these days. So the other person around says to this person, "It's a very sharp knife, be careful." Still did look like this because he's a grown man. If it's a child, it's different. Then we have to watch how he uses the knife. It's a full-grown man and a knife is supposed to be sharp. If it's not sharp, why do you call it a knife? So I ignored it and continued to work. In another 2 minutes, she says again, "It's a very sharp knife, be careful." I said, "Come on, he's a full-grown man, leave him alone, he knows how to use this knife. This stupid knife can't he handle? It's not some earth-moving machinery or spacecraft or something that he doesn't know how to handle. It's a knife." She says, "No, Sadhguru, it's a very sharp knife." All right. And I continue what I'm doing. In another 2 minutes, she whispers to, "Please be careful, very sharp." And in another 2 minutes, he cuts his finger. Then I give up, okay. This is all that's happening. This is all that's happening with life. You have an intellect for which you don't have a stable enough platform. Or in other words, you have a sharp knife, a very sharp knife in a very sharp knife in your hand, but your hand is not steady. Please see, it's your own mind which is causing all this pain, isn't it? Yes or no? So you have a very sharp knife, the sharper it is, the more you cut yourself. So we don't have to blunt the knife, we just have to have a steady hand, isn't it? Nothing has been done about that. People are trying to blunt the knife with all these sedatives and nonsense. What you take is to blunt the knife. Blunting the knife is not the answer, because if you lower the possibilities of who you are, everything will be okay. If you remove half of your brain, you will be quite peaceful. Because it takes some brain to cause anxiety. If we really remove half of your brain, you will be quite peaceful and you may even be happy, actually. Nothing bothers you. You'll be okay. All right? But that's not what we're looking for. What a human being is looking for is to become limitless in some way. And if this has to happen, you have to create a steady platform. Knife need not be taken away, knife need not be blunted. Only thing is, hand needs to be steadied. No process to do that. What inner engineering means, what yoga means is just this. When I say yoga, being in California, don't imagine all those impossible postures. Yoga does not mean postures, yoga means union, okay? The word yoga literally means union. This is the first form of union. your right and left. This is called as Pingala and Ida in yoga, the masculine and the feminine within you. Just put it together, just do the simple sadhana, all of you. If you can't do any other yoga, this much you can do, isn't it? What you do is something that concerns your life. It could be the sun coming up. Sun is coming up. Without sun coming up, you wouldn't exist on this planet, isn't it? The warmth of life is going on within you only because the sun comes up. Without the tree exhaling oxygen and you exhaling carbon dioxide for it and this exchange happening, you wouldn't be alive, isn't it? Like this, look at it, the food that you eat, the sun, the earth that you walk upon, air that you breathe, water that you drink, people who live around you, whatever, you choose anyone. Just do this, put your right and left together perfectly, not like this, not like this, perfectly, okay? Just look at something that really matters to you. Maybe the sun, maybe the sky, maybe the cloud, maybe a tree, maybe a person, maybe a child, an animal, it doesn't matter what. Just look at it, putting your hands together for 10–12 minutes at a stretch. You will see half your anxiety will start settling down. Because essentially the conflict is, there are two dimensions within you. I don't want to go into an elaborate description of this, because the yogic physiology goes elaborately into this, but to put it simply, even in modern medical science is telling you there's a right brain and a left brain, all right? Just put these two things together, look at with utmost love and appreciation towards something that matters to you. It could be your wife, it could be your husband, it could be your child, a tree, a dog, sky, sun, moon, whatever. Every one of them are vital for your life, isn't it so? Yes? Whatever you can relate to. Putting these two things together, just look at them with utmost pleasantness that you can generate, recognizing how important they are for you. Many things will change. This is the first form of yoga. If I do this, it'll become difficult. And there are many ways to do namaskar, like this, like that, like that. This is the most simple thing. Start here, okay